Alright, yo, what is going on, guys? Sekapoko here, bringing you another Genshin Impact video. For this video, we are finally ready to do Xinyan. And we're going to be talking about her, so let's go jump into it. Okay. Alright, so for my Xinyan artifact build, what I'm going to be going over for this overall showcase is going to be a Noblesse set mixed with a Fizz set. The reason I think this set is going to be the best is because overall this will be the rotations I'm going to be using for it. You can use it with Pyro if you want to enhance her Pyro damage, but as far as her overall stats go for her abilities, they get 170 Pyro damage off this bad boy here, then you get Pyro stuff over here, but most of the stuff that you're going to be doing is based in Fizz damage. As you can see here, the big damage skill you're going to do is off this one. And the biggest hit that you can do with that is going to be with a Noblesse mixed with a Pyro, a Fizz set. And that's going to be a 45% bonus on your damage. So that's why I'm going with that set in particular, because I think it's going to be best. But if you're building for normal attacks, Gladiator is really good. But I really wouldn't build for normal attacks because her normal attack ratios are extremely low. When she ascends, she does ascend with attack percentage, which is nice. But if you're looking at these four here, if I go to, say, a big character that a lot of people end up using, like Razor, who's another 4-star and on the same banner, Razor's auto attacks, you can see, are significantly higher than Xinyan's. Now, of course, Razor has one of the highest normal attack animation damage hits for any character in the game. If we look at Diluc, Diluc you can see is at a comparable value, so very, very strong in comparison. And if you're looking at the lowest possible character, I believe is Xinyan. Xinyan is the lowest, so she is higher than Xinyan's overall hits, I believe, but it's still very, very low as far as damage goes. So my overall recommendation for her is not really focusing on her normal attacks and more focusing on a build centered around your E's and your ultimates. If we're looking at her kit, you can go with a Bolide set if you want to go for normals, but I would say that overall the Gladiator set is the best way to go for normals. But this is how I'm going to run it. I'm going to be running it with these pieces here. Nothing insanely strong for the pieces, just mostly what I have lying around for this. I have a very good flower for her, so that's going to be nice. And then I also have a crappy headpiece, but it has some defense percentages on it too to help with healing. And then for the goblet, I'm going to be using Fischl's goblet. It has a defense roll on it too, so that's going to be okay, but like no crit chance. Overall, stat-wise, it's going to be pretty similar between the two. 32% crit chance, as well as 137 crit damage, and with this cup it's 53. And when I switch over to Fischl's cup, if I want to go for a damage test, 83. But most of the time it'll be 53. Also, the thing about this character for Xinyan is that Constellations on Xinyan kind of go further into the support and ulti tree, and that's why I kind of think the support build's going to be a little bit better. The Constellation 1, upon scoring a critical hit, increase attack speed of Xinyan's normal and charge attacks, give you that nice normal attack build if you want to go for a speed attack. But the number 2 Constellation is going to boost your crit rate by 100%, which I believe is not a guaranteed critical chance. It just doubles what you have on your current crit chance. So if you have 30%, it goes to 60. If you have 50, it goes to 100. Etc. So you need at least 50%, I believe, for it to work. And it's also going to cast a level 3 Rave Shield when activated. So that's going to be a very good Constellation. However, the Constellation that a lot of people are going to want is Constellation 4 because it lowers physical resistance, and that is the big Constellation. And one of the things I'm actually most curious about for a C0 Constellation Xinyan versus a C4 Constellation, which would be way more viable. If I'm looking even further into the tree, you can decrease her stamina consumption and charge attacks. So the maximum amount of Constellations I think you're going to need on her is going to be 4. You're not going to really need to go up too higher than that. If you do want to boost your ultimate, that'll be 5, but 6 is kind of unnecessary for an overall build. I really don't think you're going to need a Constellation 6 at any point, so you're probably going to need a cap out at 5 if you want to max your ulti damage, 4 for your support damage, and 2 if you just want to do a big hit every so often. But overall, you don't need any Constellations on her for her to be effective for what I can see, so let's go check her out. For a high damage test, what I'm going to be using is I'm going to be using a Superconduct team here with Xinyan, Chi-Chi, Fischl, and Bennett. And the reason I'm going to be using this team with Xinyan, the kind of reason I wanted to level in the first place, of course, is her second talent, giving her 15% increased physical damage. So with the increase in physical damage and the physical domain, you're not really going to see a huge bump in overall damage because it's really not going to do that much more. I can also use physical food on top of this to see where our damage actually goes, but I'm pretty sure we're not going to see a massive increase in damage. All right, we're going to be using a 55% fizz damage food here to check out how much damage we're going to get out of this. Obviously, I don't think we're going to get a ton more damage because of how it's going to work, but we can try it. So I would say even if you're going to be leveling up Xinyan as far as a nuker, as far as an ulti off nuker, this shield scales so hard on defense that you're not going to be able to have a shield build at the same time as your Noblesse and Fizz build. So what you're going to need to do is have a build centered around defense rolls, but if you're doing that, you're of course going to nerf your damage on your main stat. So there's only one set in the entire game that I believe has a defense-based roll, and that is going to be the Defender's Will. The Defender's Will, of course, has a 30% defense bump, and for each different element you own in your party, you get different elemental resistance. So I don't really recommend this set in particular. I would probably just stick with the same set I was just mentioning with a Noblesse and physical damage set, but going with more defense-oriented rolls. The other thing you could do, of course, is going with a Bolide set to improve the shield strength by 35%, and then mixing that with the defense set. But that also seems very sus, and I don't think you should be building specifically all the way into defense for that specific strategy, because that just seems like you're building a really defensive shield for something that probably won't do that well. Long at all. That does not last very long at all. Yikes. Okay, let's go ahead and let's bring this one down here. All right, level 1 shield. Whoa. All right, with nothing on, this is what we're at with no superconduct. All right, I'm gonna go over here. Wow, does it not last very long? Can you not transfer it? Like, what's going on? I thought you could transfer it. I was doing it earlier, we could transfer it. All right. Yeah, there we go. Wow. It's okay, so level 1 talent, the shield doesn't last long at all, obviously. And you're gonna have to level that thing up to even like see it. But you see this scale, the linear scaling here. Since you go at level 6 talent, we're gonna have like 200% of her defense, or 200% of her attack or defense, plus 76% defense. So if you don't have any defense rolls, the shield is gonna pop like a squishy bubble. Her overall defense, if you don't roll into defense, even with some defense rolls on my gears, that's 754. So if you don't build into defense, the shield's not going to stay up for you to have it long enough. So you definitely need to have a large amount of defense in order to keep a shield up, because that shield is popping real fast. All right. So overall, if I'm going to build for white damage, I need a full gladiator set to try this out. So I'm going to switch out to a full glad set. All right, for a gladiator set, my set is really subpar to get a 4-piece gladiator set on this account, so I really don't have too much out of it. But I have 133 fizz damage in the domain, and I can really only get this done on a full glad set. And I don't have enough C damage. My pieces are pretty whack, so I can't actually test like huge damage on this. But I do have some C damage pieces with some crit rate on it, and I can see some potential crit in here, so we could try that. But we're not going to see a ton out of it, because if I use this set, I'm only have 24% crit chance, so it's real low. And I haven't no other crit pieces lying around, so nothing on this allows me to do crit build for Gladiator really well. So I'll try it, but I don't think it's going to go well. Weapons, there are a lot of good weapons out there, like the Enforged, giving you the increased shield strength, which will really help for Xinyan's overall damage, giving you a flat attack bonus. Wolf Gravestone obviously would be the best weapon for any main DPS character, and the Skyward Pride also a very good weapon to use when you're using a character like Xinyan. Overall, I feel like the best 4-star weapon for her is going to be the Sacrificial Greatsword. Now, the reason I think the Sacrificial Greatsword is going to be the best for her is because once your shield breaks, the character's viability kind of drops really heavily as a supporting unit. So if you did want to get another shield up, the Sacrificial Greatsword will enable you to get another shield up if you're hitting multiple enemies at the same time. So I would say that the Sacrificial Sword, because you're going to run into enemies and hit your E, is a better option for a lot of players if they're looking to get their E up again between the in a 15-second time frame. I think that's the best possible option if you're going to be using multiple shields over the rotation, and it has energy recharge rate. Now, the other weapons that I would use if you're building for more of a damage Xinyan, of course, the Black Cliff Slasher is a viable option because it does increase damage that you're going to deal. And the other thing that you can do, of course, is the Serpent Spine, but I don't really recommend that weapon at all. For White Blind, this weapon kind of relies on you staying out for a long period of time, so for the defense percentage roll, not really a good option. I would not really recommend. And then Prototype Animus is obviously, as you can see, a very good option for any unit in the game that you just want to do a quick surge hit and dip out on. So it's a really good weapon for any support in the game or any main DPS, depending on how you want to use it, just for a quick hit and good out. For Favonius Greatsword, that's another good option between the Favonius Greatsword and the Sacrificial Claymore, because then you can just rotate and spam ultis. But if you're looking for the best cheap weapon that doesn't require anything, and if you're really free to play on the aspect, the Skyrider Greatsword is the way to go. The Skyrider Greatsword, of course, has the physical damage bonus on its innate proc, and on hit increases normal charge attacks, which is not super useful, but because it does have a phys damage bonus on the main stat, is the best possible weapon for super free to play players that are not looking to do a large amount of investment on a character. Now, if you are looking to do some kind of investment, or a bit kind of a mid-range investment on this character, of course, I would go more toward the Favonius or Sacrificial Greatsword, so you get your ultimate up more often to get that big hit in. Sacrificial, of course, you get your multiple E's in, so you have your shield up more often, and then the Black Cliff Slasher if you're going to be using her as a main DPS. The other weapons that you could be using, of course, if you had 5-star weapons between the 3, if you were an Omegalodon Whale, my personal preference would, of course, be a Wolf's Gravestone. But if you do want to go with the Unforged, it is an amazing option and possibly more damage than the weapon we're talking about here. Unforged, of course, is going to have about 20% minimum HP all the way up to rank 5, 40% maximum attack difference between the two. So Wolf's Gravestone will always have more attack value on its innate procs when the weapon procs versus the Unforged. But the Unforged, of course, will have that very nice bonus of always having the attack bonus up. So if you're fighting just one enemy and not multiple enemies with low HP, you're going to have higher overall damage on the Unforged versus Wolf Gravestone, if that's I would have to say that trying to make the normal attack damage set work with lower stats, not really my cup of tea, and you really don't see a huge damage increase between the Fizz set and a full Glad set between the 18% attack gains and everything, even though my attack values are pretty similar. I think my artifact set was just better for Noblesse and Bloodstained together either way, but it's a lot easier to get a Noblesse and Noblesse set mixed with a Fizz set for 2 different sets versus trying to get a full Gladiator set. So no matter what, I would say that would be the better direction of the 2 directions to go, because it's first off easier and cheaper for a character that's may not be your main DPS or whatnot, and second, it can do comparable if not more damage depending on what you can see for your ultis. But alright guys, my name is Sekapoko. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did enjoy the video, of course, like, subscribe, all the fun stuff, and yes, have a great rest of your day. Peace.